Pocahontas, Chapter 5. This is the third part of Chapter 5, where I am reading beginning at the top of page 80. John Smith was embarrassed. To cover his confusion before his friends, he explained that the term father applied to men of rank, a chief in his country, and he was not that. Moreover, Pocahontas was a princess, so it was not fitting for her to say father. Pocahontas set her face stubbornly. John Smith was not going to slip out of their special kinship so easily. When John came to her father's country, she pointed out, he had been made her father and all his people afraid. Everyone but her. What had happened to him that in his own country he should cringe at the use of a name? She taunted him. "Fear you here I should call you father?" she asked. "I tell you then I will," she declared, "and I will be forever and ever your countryman." Forever and ever his countryman, whether he liked it or not, that was what she was. That was the way she had willed it. In his own account, John Smith says no more about their meeting, but when he left, Pocahontas knew she would never see him again. Yet even now she would not entirely give up hope that she could stay in England. She prayed that something would intervene and keep them from going. She prayed that John Rolfe would change his mind. Every day she coughed more and became weaker, but either John did not notice or would not let himself be concerned. Pocahontas was both an emotional woman and a strong one, as is evident in the account John Smith left of their meeting. And as the sun, or God, or both, would be her witness, she did not want to leave England. Yet, in the end, no matter how strong, she was a woman and a wife, and the day that the wind dropped and her husband said they would sail, she did what was expected. Along with young Thomas, Marachana, and Tomocomo, she went to London, where Sir Samuel Argall's ship, the George, lay waiting. Reluctantly, but of her own free will, she walked back into the same trap that she had walked into on the Potomac River. Only this time she recognized it for what it was. Indeed, had she ever really been free of it? Pocahontas was taken to her sleeping quarters, too sick to take a last look at London's skyline as the George set sail, too sick to welcome the daffodils standing at attention here and there in the countryside, too sick to acknowledge her secret sisterhood to apple trees bursting into blossom along the river bank. Indeed, the George had gone only 25 miles down the Thames River, not even to open sea, when Pocahontas knew she was just too sick to live. At the little town of Gravesend, she begged to be taken ashore, and even John Rolfe could see now that she was in a serious state. So the George dropped anchor, and Pocahontas was taken to a nearby inn. A doctor was called, but it was too late for anyone to help. At the age of 21, Pocahontas died and was buried in the country she had lived in less than a year, but had not wanted to leave. People reported that she died like a Christian. She also died like an Indian, showing no fear of death. She told John not to grieve. All men must die, she said. The important thing was that their son, 2-year-old Thomas, lived. And at least Thomas did not go back to America. After a hurried funeral service, Thomas, who was not well, was left in the care of John Rolfe's brother, Henry. He did not go back to Virginia until he was 20 years old, and of course by that time he was thoroughly English. Perhaps his only feeling for the Indian in him came from the many stories he must have heard about his mother while he was growing up. It would be nice to think that sometime during these years he met John Smith, and that John told him about the little girl who turned cartwheels in Jamestown.